Hey guys, welcome back to Vantage Academy, and today I'm looking at a very interesting video which I'm going to share with you guys. And this one involves a little bit of color grading. So today we're going to use basic tools just to transform this image into something aesthetically visually pleasing, and we're going to make sure we do that in the simplest way possible so you can learn. All right, so this is the panel I'm going to be working with for starters. We're going to work with the brightness and contrast. We're going to work with the vibrance. We're going to work with the hue and saturation, the color balance, and the selective color. And after that, we can just try spice up things using the gradient map. All right. So when this is done, I'm going to jump into the camera raw filter to try and do the same thing. And I'm going to save up a preset for you guys so you can use it for your easy workflow in your Photoshop. All right. So let's go. First things first, what I'll do is I'll duplicate the image that's already there. Control J or Command J. Then I'm just gonna block this so it doesn't get in the way. Otherwise, so this is our main image. And to work with this image, what I'm gonna do today, the first segment of the video, I'm gonna start working with the selective color. So right now, the obvious color we can see on our screen is blue. So let's play with that a little bit. Selective color, there you are. All right, so first things first, I'll make sure I do have this clip. Okay, so now this means that if I enable this, for those who are not familiar with Photoshop and layers, this means that whatever we do here is only applicable to the image below our current layer. All right, so we're working with the blues, and what I'm gonna do is just start with the cyan, which I'll punch about -60. Okay. No, I'll drop this to 35 actually. -35. I tried it so I know which one it is which. And then we're gonna bump a 60 right here. Let's see what happens. No, actually a -90. Alright. There we go. And I'm gonna go to the yellows and the blue, and I'll throw this left and right just to see what amazes me more. I feel I'm gonna go for the green tone in the yellows, but I like this too, so I'll go for the green side and leave it there. Let's do a plus the 30 on this one, and for the blacks, let's leave them untouched. All right, so come back to your layers and just make sure you organize your stuff. I'm gonna call this blues. Okay, so next up we go back and select selective color, and then we have a new segment. The next color we're going to work with is the yellows. Okay, so I'll click on that. Okay, so let's just tweak that and see what we're getting. So if you throw this, it's giving me a greenish. I think this is where we are headed. So let's head to the yellows. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this to the negatives, and right about -45. That's where I'm gonna stop, and let's try and tweak the magenta and the yellows. There we go. So I'll throw this to about the right side. So let's do a +35. And the yellow in this, I want it to be less, so -25 would do, or even a -30. But remember, this is all a matter of preference. So I like that. I think I like -35 better. And then the blacks in this, I'm not going to touch that at all. You're going to understand why later on. All right. So I'll make sure I rename these to yellows. Okay. So as well, I'll enable the clip mask. Make sure everything is matching. So the next color we are going to work with, I think the next feature we're going to work with is the hue and the saturation. All right. So for the saturation, I'm just gonna throw it a little bit on -5. Yeah, -5 does the trick. And the saturation, let me drop it and see what we get. I think I'll drop the saturation to -3. And let's try bump up some brightness. No, I don't want to work with that too much. All right, let's do a +2. There you go. So I don't want to play too much with the brightness because you're going to come back and use the contrast as well. Yeah. So that's already labeled as hue and saturation. Don't need to rename that. Also, click that. Go back to the selective layers. Let's look at the color balance. So with the color balance, I'm just going to throw the red. We are working with the mid-tones, by the way. So I'm going to throw the reds to the cyan side about that much, -22. Remember, it's all about preference, so 32 is too much for me. I'll stick to -25. Then the magenta, I think I'm gonna throw it a little bit to the, because if I throw it to the green, it's a good look actually to the greens. Let's see, let me add some magenta to it. Again, if you love this look, you can go for it. But for this video, I feel I'm gonna go to -7. And then on the yellows, that's where I'm gonna push it, because if I take it to the blues, it's cooling up things. Kind of like that though, but I don't want that yet. There's a way I want to do that, and this is for the mid tones. Okay, so you can leave it right there. So let's add another one to the another color balance. Sorry, let me just delete that. Okay, so I'll again come up and add the color balance. So this time I want to play with the shadows. So I'll throw the shadows. I'll just make sure they are warm. About -7. And I'll get rid of, I'll punch in some magenta into that. -7 as well. And I'll still throw in the magenta, the cyan rather, at -9. Alright. So let me just look at that a little bit more. I think the red is going to do much better. So let's do +2 instead of negative. But again, remember, preference. So I'll clip that. These two, I'm going to clip that. Okay, so then I'm just going to look around and I see my subject is a little bit underexposed. So I'm going to jump to the brightness and the contrast. So I'll drop the contrast a little bit. Okay. And then I'll just bump up the brightness to about 5. Alright. So as for me, I've got the look I'm going for. There we are. Alright, so just to get a little bit extra, what I'm going to do now is just bring in the gradient map. So I'm going to introduce the gradient map for the overall toning in certain areas. So let's put that at 50% so we can see exactly what it's doing. Then I'm going to have to put that on soft light. Okay, so let's jump over here and see what colors we can add on. So let's start with let's go to the blues and see what gradients we can add. We've got that. I think I like this much more. So remember, this is just basically you working around with your color palettes if you have one. Otherwise, yeah, you can put right about any gradient right here and to get the desired look. So I kind of feel the limit is in your desired outcome or output. So these are other things you can do, and I can see this one is making my subject pop. I love that. Switch to that, switch to that. Okay. So I like that this one is a bit contrasty, and that's nice. Alright, so I'll go for this one and I'll click OK. Then I'm just going to use the intensity again, or how much we have of that. Let's say 40%. Okay, so this is just me trying to add something a little bit extra. You can add your own colors, you can choose your own, but the point of this is me showing you the process how to get here. Of course, you can choose your own different colors depending on the color palette you're working with, and that's all up to you. So there we go, as easy as that. So now keep in mind that I did reduce the contrast over here, okay? So which means my image has become a little bit less sharp, okay? So you can add your sharpness back in your export. Okay, so there you have it. Now, so what I'll do, I'm just gonna put everything in a group, and I'll disable that. So this is how it looked like before, and this is after. How does that look, guys? Anyways, I'll disable this and throw it at the bottom. So we still have our image here, and even if I disable it, we have a backup right there in case you're using destructive methods. So right now what I'm gonna do is now try to do the same thing I did, but this time using the camera raw filter. Okay, so let's go to the filter. Now remember, this is still a JPEG, it's been rasterized, so let's convert that to a smart object. Alright, good. So now let's apply our filters, camera raw. So if you are very much familiar with the new edition of Adobe Photoshop, even Lightroom, they have added new things like color grading and just to enhance your workflow. Everything has been put in a nice space where you get to have easy access to it. Okay, so if you were in Adobe camera filter, this is how you go about it. So first things first, I'll make sure I pull up the blacks to about 7, and I lift up the shadows under the vehicle and in the vehicle as well, just to, and I'll drop the highlights just in case by raising the shadows and the blacks, something went over exported. Alright, so and as far as the basic tones, for now, let's get away from that. Let's go to the color mixer. So we have the hue which we are going to play with first. I'll shift the blues to my left, and I'm going to stretch that as far as I am happy. So I'll stick to here, and the aquas, I'll leave this because I don't recognize that color in the picture. Rather, I'll drop the aquas to the, yeah. Okay, so I'll put the aquas in -45. I'm gonna have the greens on to the yellow side, and then I'm gonna have the yellows feel a little bit orange-ish. All right, so oranges as well, I'm just gonna have that +2, actually plus -4. For the reds, I'm not gonna play with those, I'll leave them right there. And then I'm gonna bump up the oranges a little bit to create that dramatic effect. So with the yellows, this is the saturation, by the way. So before I go any further, what I would do right here is I'll reduce the saturation of the yellows like we did on the other side to about -25. Okay, so there you have it. And then what I'm gonna do next is go down to the luminance and just I can choose which colors I want to make pop, and this time I think I'll add some more on the saturation on the oranges. Yeah, maybe to this point. All right, so after that, it's that quick, guys. It's that quick. Now I know you still feel we didn't get the desired out. Don't worry, I got you. So let's brighten up the oranges a bit. Okay, then let's go back to the hue on the oranges. Take them to the left, and -12. That would be an update. So when that is done, let's go to color grading. Remember, we did add some blues and some warm color to the shadows. So what we're gonna do is go over the shadows. Over here, I'll ask you to add shift, to hold your shift button, and then you see that line. This is for accuracy, so I'm gonna ask you to push in that direction. So you can see already we are beginning to get that much. So what I'll do, I'll add a lot so I'm able to see where or see the effect of it. So drag it. This is in between the orange and the reds. I want something warm, like over there. So once I see that effect, then I can reduce how much in terms of saturation. Okay. Then this is the brightness of whatever color we've added here, which you can either increase or decrease. So I'm just gonna pump it up a little bit, and then I think we just can add some more of that. And let me swing that back more between orange and yellow rather than the yellow deeply. So this has to make it something a little bit warm, and then make sure it blends at 50% and don't touch the rest. So for the mid-tones, again, let's come back here. Mid-tones, I'm gonna add some of it again. There you go. All right, so the difference right now is visible. Let's swing this to the cool. All right, so there we go. Now what we do, let's open the basic panel. So I'm gonna throw this to the temperature to the positive side, and then let me just see what's it's gonna come out like. Okay, cool. And if we drop it to the cool, there we go. I think I like it. Okay, but I'm gonna add a -8. All right, so you have a similar look. And then I did mention that we dropped the contrast on the other end, so I'll do the same right here. Okay, now knowing I've dropped the contrast, I do know that my image has lost some sharpness. So what we do, we're gonna get that back. You can increase the texture here, which I prefer, but you can still come back here and locate your effects. This is the grain, that's the optics detail actually. So you can increase your sharpness to about 5, just to make sure you don't lose that. Okay, so yeah, before I do anything, I'm gonna save this as save settings. Okay, so this is right about everything I tweaked right here, and I'll save that and save. Okay, so it's gonna ask me where I want to save it to. So because I want to easily locate it, when I just put it on the desktop, and I'll name this what you call that, Teal fashion. Yeah, whatever it is. So that's for you guys. Saved it, and also let me just save settings. Create preset. All right. So this is for me trying to locate it. Fashion teal orange. Okay. There we go. So next time I wanna use that, I'll just go over to settings, and I should find it among the things I've done here. Okay. So here it is on my user presets. It's been saved. Otherwise, that's about it. And let camera roll do the rest. And there you go. So that's it, guys. There you have it. In case you do want me to work on your images, give me an inbox. I'll be able to respond, and I'm very quick with emails. Thank you for watching. Please do remember to subscribe to the channel and just get more content. Let's keep on learning. Let's keep growing. See ya.